afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Industry Interaction Cell of the Department of Management at IGDTUW, I extend a warm welcome to one and all to this much awaited session on how girl students can become wow women of substance and why HR is a better career option for them. To win the marketplace, you must first win the workplace. A famous quote given by Do Kunin. The recent trends in human resource management shows that many people, particularly women, have accorded HR a high regard as a career, thus indicating women have taken the lead as HR professionals. To make us aware about how girl students can become a wow woman of substance and why HR is a better career option, we are glad to have amongst us a dynamic and impactful speaker, Ms. Ranjika Sachdev. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. I would now like to invite Gursimran to introduce our esteemed speaker for the afternoon.
Ms. Ranjika Sachdev is passionate about transforming talent and business from a future of work and business perspective. She has leveraged 90 plus years of success, expertise, resurrection to boost synergies through multiple HR excellence innovation, L&D, work from innovation, employee delight, CSR, employer branding, global mobility, succession planning, talent transformation, business partnering, and people strategy innovation. She has revived HR ROI with one of the best employee retention and motivation outcomes by nurturing an enterprise-wide culture of diversity, inclusivity, and equity by ensuring transparency, interdepartmental jobs transferability, people aspiration focused on upskilling, conscious fair play in sharing of opportunities across employee demographics. This has sparked a wave of employee self-pride in the organization. She has worked for enabling work to become more meaningful by making everyone aware of their wow value. Now, I would like to invite Abhika Sachdev to deliver her address.
That is one good thing that we as women have a very good power of adapting. So never lose that ability as you move along. So that's a very good capability that all of us have.
There is a question from a student at how to be resilient in the face of adversity.
And this is something that I'm sure all of us, in our own phases of life, all of us face that. So like I mentioned earlier, it is important to learn from what we have done, learn from our mistakes, and never get bogged down. So as I mentioned earlier, it's important to have that inner strength and an inner control on ourselves. And it's important for you to also it's okay for anyone to say that, see, I'm kind of falling down. What can I do? It's okay. Have a friend whom you can confide into. Talk to people around you whom you can depend upon. It's completely okay to break down also, but only for a particular time. But remember that it's important for you to move on as well. You made a mistake, things have come across to you, it's completely okay. Learn from that mistake and move ahead. How do you move ahead? Consult people around you. It's completely okay. Everybody goes through ups and downs. You're not the only one who will be going through or who has gone through your ups and downs. Some people talk about it, some people do not talk about it. But everybody in their life come across these situations. And everybody, if you come out of it, you've come out of the fire, you've come out strong. If you do not come out of it, you're throwing yourself in the fire. That would be the worst thing that one can do. It's important for everyone to come out of it. And how to come out of it is everybody adopts different ways. Some people consult people and move on. Some people introspect and move on. Some people learn from their mistakes and work on it and then move along. So I think everybody will handle it differently, but the end objective should be that you have to move on. You cannot be staying back in what has happened in the past.
If I may just add something, see, COVID is going on. Ranjika in our families had tragedies, but Ranjika also heads the safety and safety committee at Pernod, and there have been multiple tragedies which she's been dealing with. And so, as she said, the life goes on, show goes on. So if she had wallowed in the tragedy of her life, she wouldn't have helped as an HR leader in our organization. So she did move on. She did take on help. That's what she's saying, because see, life goes on. You can't stop. There will be sometimes I lost my father, but I had The day I lost my father, there was a very important document which I had to submit to Economic Times. Economic Times could not wait for me. So I cried, but yet I had to send. I did a matha take to the, I stay near a temple. So, there are times that you come across a situation that everything has come to a stop. Just do some meditation and come out of it, because you have no option but to come out of it.
What are the loopholes in today's recruitment process in industry?
What are the loopholes? Okay, I wouldn't say there are loopholes in the recruitment process in the industry because I would relate to it from my organization. But you have to identify or shortlist a person in a span of time of the half an hour interview or the 1 hour interview. So but then that comes from your experience that you identify the right person in that half an hour, 1 year's time. So I would not say that's a loophole. That's a thought that I used to always think that how can you identify a person in say a half an hour or a 1 hour interview, but you get to know the person. Nowadays, like I was talking about technology, there's so many things that have come across where you do a behavioral event interview, where as an organization that these are the competencies that we kind of are looking at in the organization. And for those competencies, there are these events that you throw to the students, and how those students react or act to it will help you understand or take a decision whether the person is right or wrong. And eventually, let me say, all these processes lead to at least 90% accuracy. 10% is always, plus or minus there. But I would not say there's a loophole in that. I think that's one of the best practices that are there in many organizations, and we are also happy to be following that.
As we know that in today's leverage technology world, it's like, the tech savvy and technology is playing a very important role. So how AI can take over human resources? Like, how would that transition take place?
Okay, so it's a very good question, and all of us have been thinking about it and debating about it. I would urge you to also read a lot about it as well. But remember, no one can replace a human being or a human interaction. HR is a lot more related to human interaction. While I move towards the end of my presentation, you'll also see more details about, how one uses the left brain and the right brain, and how we get an opportunity to be using both sides of the brain. But yes, AI cannot replace HR department. AI can only replace part of the interaction, which will help HR to be more proactive, which will help HR to be more productive, but it cannot ever replace HR. To give you a small example, we use in the earlier times we used to have these one-on-one conversations to understand the employee mood, the employee, where they are right now, how they are performing, how they are feeling, and so on. But now we moved on to AI, where we connect with the employee on a daily or maybe a bi-weekly basis, where we know how the employee is kind of feeling, and we get an alert on how their mood is. Accordingly, we act or react with that particular employee. So AI is nothing but helping HR to be more productive, to be more responsive, to be more proactive with our employees, and be a more having a more focused approach.
I'm like, this student is asking, like you are telling to be open and connect to people. Like when we grow up, our parents or society used to be, don't talk to people, don't be too open, don't talk to strangers. Hence, we connect very much less with another people's because of that kind of insecurity which has been put into our mind, that we don't have to talk to strangers and talk to the new people because you don't know about them that much. So, is it okay to be open and interact to people?
So, like I mentioned before, it's important to be interacting with people with the single objective of learning, with the single objective of knowing what the person is doing, with the single objective of, working on your own self as well. But it's very important to be tactful. I mentioned that before. You need to be tactful, and we as women, we have a very strong, sense of feeling as well on what is right and what is not right, who is it right to interact with and who is it not right to interact with, at what stage we should be stopping our interaction. So always Have a strong belief in yourself when you're having that gut feel. Do not move ahead if you're having that gut feel that this person is not right, but do not stop yourself from interacting with people. If you do that, as I told you will not be learning. You need to learn things also. Even if you face a bad situation, it's okay to face a bad situation. Everybody faces that. But learn from it. Be tactful. Move on. See what you did wrong. Do not repeat that mistake. And I know where the person is coming from, because all of us have grown from that sort of a background, and we've been taught of not talking to the strangers. And yes, the life was such, the situation was such. But as you move in your corporate life, in your professional life, you cannot be sitting in your cocoon in your office. You need to interact with people, and in HR even so more, you have to interact with people. And if someone is taking you for granted or has done something wrong to you, be cognizant of that. Do not close your eyes. Keep your eyes and ears open. Be tactful, and never always keep it within yourself. See how you want to react to the situation. It's very situation dependent. I would not say react at that particular time. I would say see how to react. Do not react then and there.
Like this is something that this question is something that's like, everybody is having, especially the ones who are interested in taking HR as their domain in future and as a career. So
Hmm.
now, because of COVID also, the situation has changed a lot, as we can see the transition. And HR is not like, is no more the same kind of HR that usually, existed before. So there are new concepts that are coming, and we're seeing HR analytics also being a very hot topic right now, which is going on. So we also wanted to know something about HR analytics as a role that we'll be like moving forward. What HR analytics is all about, like how will that be very important part of our domain moving forward. And also, like, the general definition of HR, like person for people, how has, what will be the new definition for that nowadays, because everything is slowly and gradually it's transforming, as we can see. So if you can just let us know something about like what will be the new definition and the role of HR analytics also.
See, I can talk about the role of analytics. What will be the new definition? Time will only kind of come and tell us. But HR analytics is a very powerful vertical. It's a very powerful thing to be looked at. And as I mentioned earlier, you need to kind of also kind of keeping on working on on your skills on this, because you were not taught on HR analytics in our own college, and we learned on the go. So this is something that you have to learn on the go, and HR analytics is something that will build, that will bring in a lot of um, something that will help you take decisions in a better way, in a more organized way, in a more focused way. So to give you a perspective, it will give you HR analytics. In the earlier times, we used to kind of look at an Excel and see what the attrition is, and then work on that. HR analytics will throw you a data which will say that this is where your people are going, this is the reason why your people are leaving the organization, and this is what you need to be working on. So as an organization, you know what is your focus, you know what your approach is. So it's important to have a more of data driven thought process approach, and that is what one needs to be working on. HR analytics is a very helpful thing for the organization and for HR as a vertical, to help us work on more focused approach what we do in the organization.
Here's a question from a student that can someone start their career directly as an HR business partner, or instead of that, he has to start from HR operation?
Okay, so people can certainly start their career as an HR business partner. And in my view, that's the best thing a person can do. And why is that? Is because you get closer to business. You understand what's happening in business. Uh, uh, Being a business partner, I have been a business partner for quite some time. That gives you a complete exposure. And remember, being in HR, it doesn't mean that you're only connected with people. You have to be connected to the business as well. Be on top of what's happening in the business. Be on top of how business happens. Be on top of how does the organization earn money. So being a business partner, I think, is a very good role to get into to start off your career as well, at any point of your career.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So there is one more question, which says that what are the qualities needed to be a great HR specialist?
So there's a host of qualities I would say to be a best HR specialist, but I would kind of, also talk about be the best in what you are, be aware of what's new around you. Taking an example of, talent management or performance management system. There are many organizations who are not following a bell curve. I'm sure you are kind of also being taught, how bell curves work and how bell curves do not work. But eventually, what I'm trying to say is that you need to know the companies that are following a bell curve and the companies that are not following a bell curve. And if they're not following a bell curve, what are they following? And what are the pros and cons of that? So, a best HR specialist of any particular area will see what the benchmark is, will see what's happening in the industry, will do a SWOT analysis or a pros and cons analysis of that particular activity, and then have a clarity in thought process and approach if that will work in your organization or not.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for patiently answering our students' questions. I would now hand over to Insha.
I would like to thank our guest speaker, Ms. Ranjita Sachdev, for enlightening us with her perfect knowledge. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us deep insight into the topic and also revealing some interesting facts. I'm pretty sure the knowledge that Ranjita ma'am gave us will definitely help us in our future endeavors. We thank you for taking out time from a busy schedule. I would like to thank VC ma'am, Registrar sir, all the deans, HODs, and faculty members for giving us the opportunity to organize this event. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Meghna Goswami, Panditi, Department of Management, IDDW, to extend a formal vote of thanks to our esteemed speaker.
Thank you, Insha.
Thank you, Insha. Good afternoon, Ms. Ranjika. I must say that it was a very, very knowledgeable, informative session. The tips that you gave are very, very practical, doable, and yet very good. So I would urge also joined in this session, practicing what ma'am has taught, right from new skills to practicing your building your confidence, right from improving your communications, networking, and so on. Because once you'll be out of the city in a year or two, have time that 1 or 2 years. Use these tips. They are tips which will help you much more efficient and effective, not just professionally, but as well. Okay, so a woman is not just a painted woman, it has to be a package. Okay, good at both of the, both the ends of her life. Okay, thank you, Ranjika ma'am, for taking from your schedule and these young girls and inspire with this such a informative, wonderful session. And we would look to having more such sessions with you in the future for our upcoming. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I'd like to thank Anshumali sir there and being an avid listener. And we've already listened to him as well. Thank you, sir, for joining.